What's up, everyone? We're going to be going through the best WNBA player props on Prize Picks today. Now, I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 20 picks correct, which was absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 20 picks right like me, win more bets, and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, which will be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure you join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,200 just yesterday, and another member who won $1,800 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members, a link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. So quick shout out to Michael Garcia T9V, who said, as usual, great predictions backed by solid analytics. So shouts out to him, and if you do want to win a shout out in the next video, all you have to do is comment down below in this video and like it, and you could be in the running to win a shout out in the next one. All right, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to talk about is none other than Courtney Williams, and this one is for 14.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Courtney Williams, we actually have seen her go on the under in 2 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, you see on July 4th, faced off against Washington Mystics, had 10 points there. Then July 6th, faced off against Golden State Valkyries, had 15 points. Then July 7th, faced off against Chicago, and in that matchup, had 25 points. And July 10th, faced off against Phoenix, had 21 points. And July 13th, faced off against Chicago, and actually had 13 points there. So it's definitely been pretty interesting to see. Now, when it obviously comes to Courtney Williams coming into this matchup, we do know that she does play for none other than Minnesota Lynx, and they have themselves a very good matchup because it's none other than against Chicago Sky. Now, it's definitely going to be an intense game for sure, but looking at this matchup more intensely, we do see when it comes to both of these teams, starting off with Minnesota Lynx have had themselves a very good season. You know, they find themselves in a very good position because they do actually rank first in the WNBA. They have a record of 18 wins and 4 losses. That's an 81.8% win percentage to be exact. They're also 11-0 from home, 7-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it's definitely been very good for them. Now, when it comes to them, they do face off against none other, than, like I've mentioned, Chicago Sky. Now, Chicago Sky on the other side do actually rank 10th in the WNBA. They have a record of 7 wins and 13 losses, which is interesting to see. And on top of that, they also have a 35% win percentage, 4-4 from home, 3-9 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So it's definitely a little bit different there, but coming into this matchup, we do know, looking at Chicago Sky, we do see that Chicago do rank 10th when it comes to points allowed. Now, the reason why we do like the under, however, for this reason is due to the fact that when it comes to Chicago Sky, we actually do see they do a fantastic job at restricting points to the guard position. And we definitely see someone like Courtney Williams going on the under there. Now, looking at some of the matchups, we do see Courtney Williams facing off against none other than, Chicago on July 7th and 13th. Now, July 7th, she did go off for 25 points, and July 13th, she did actually go under on this line. So, obviously, there are going to be times where she does beat her line or beat her expectation. And we definitely did see that in that July 7th game for sure. But coming into the most recent one, we have seen her, go on the under in that July 13th game. And we are expecting a similar result once again in this next matchup. When it comes to Courtney Williams, unfortunately, she doesn't have the highest usage rate in the points department for this Minnesota Lynx team. And that's why we are expecting some of the other players in this, sort of roster to take a lot more of the usage rate, especially since they did lose their most recent game against Chicago Sky. So for that reason, Courtney Williams, 14.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're actually going to be talking about none other than Veronica Burton. So Veronica Burton, great player, and this one is for 10.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Veronica, we actually have seen her go on the under in 1 out of the last 5 games. Looking at those 5 games, you see on June 30th, faced off against Seattle, had 15 points there. Then July 6th also saw her face off against Minnesota Lynx, had 6 points in that matchup. Then July 8th faced off against Atlanta, had 11 points. Then against Indiana, had 21 points on July 10th, and 11 points against Las Vegas Aces on July 13th. So we actually have seen, Veronica Burton actually, do well in some games, and she has gone on the under in 1 out of the last 5. But her average over the last 5 is 12.8. Now, coming into this matchup, we do know Golden State Valkyries have themselves a very, very interesting matchup against Phoenix Mercury. Now, it's definitely going to be a big game. Now, coming into this matchup, we do see that Phoenix Mercury do actually rank second when it comes to their ranking in the WNBA. They also rank second in the Western Conference, and they have a record of 14 wins and 6 losses. That's a 70% win percentage. So they are 9-3 from home, 5-3 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. And they face, they face off against Golden State Valkyries, which we've mentioned. And Golden State Valkyries on the other side do rank 8th in the WNBA with a record of 10 wins, 10 losses, 50% win percentage. They're also 7-3 at home, also 3-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak as well. So it's definitely going to be an intense game for sure. Now, coming into this matchup, we are looking at, Phoenix Mercury and where they do rank points-wise, and they do actually rank 5th when it comes to points allowed. So that's very, very high, and for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here. Now, when it comes to her last couple of matchups, we have definitely seen her go on the over at times. Now, 2 of those games, she only made it over by 0.5, so it's definitely a little bit of luck of the draw in those matchups, but she has also faced off against much easier matchups over the last 5. Now that she does face off against Phoenix Mercury, who do not only just do a great job at restricting points, but also do a great job at restricting points at the guard position, we are definitely expecting a different sort of play style when it comes to this matchup for sure. So for that reason, when we look at what the bookies are saying, bookies also are favored for the under as well. So that works out in our favor there. So Veronica Burton, 10.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Now, getting to the next one, we're going to be talking about none other than Ariel Atkins. So Ariel Atkins, great player, and this one is for 3.5 rebounds. Sorry, let me just remove that. 3.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now, looking at Ariel, we actually have seen her go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games. Now, looking at those 5 games, we do see face off against June 30th against Los Angeles Sparks, had 2 rebounds there. Then July 7th faced off against Minnesota, had 5 rebounds. July 9th faced off against Washington, had 0 rebounds. Then July 10th faced off against Dallas, had 4 rebounds. July 13th faced off against Minnesota and had 3 rebounds there. So I actually have seen Ariel go on the under in 3 out of the last 5, as we've mentioned, and our average over the last 5 is also 2.8, which is interesting to see. Now, looking at this matchup more intensely, we do also see that, average over the last 5 is 2.8, but Chicago face off against Minnesota Lynx. Now, we have, recently talked about this, but just to kind of, I would say, refresh your memory, Chicago Sky do rank 10th in the WNBA. They also rank 5th in the Eastern Conference, and they have a record of 7 wins and 13 losses. And over the last 10 games, they do have a record of actually 4 wins and 6 losses. So they haven't really been doing the best when it comes to actually, I would say, the last 10 games. And looking on the other side of this matchup, we do see Minnesota Lynx have themselves the number 1 spot in the WNBA. They also have the number 1 spot in the actual Western Conference, and they have a record of 18 wins and also 4 losses. And over the last 10 games, actually have a record of 7 wins and 3 losses. So it's definitely been huge for them. Now, coming into this matchup, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, but we do actually see that when we look at Minnesota Lynx defensively, we do see that Minnesota Lynx do actually rank 8th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So they rank a little bit, low in that category. However, Minnesota Lynx actually do a fantastic job at, restricting rebounds to the guard position. And for that reason, we do very much like the under for this situation here for someone like Ariel Atkins. Now, do not get me wrong, Ariel Atkins is a great player, but when you look at this matchup more in-depthly and you look at on a per position basis, that is definitely what helps us on why we do like the under for this one. Now, I also do need to mention as well when it comes to this matchup, We do also see that when it comes to Ariel Atkins' sort of usage rate out there, it also hasn't really been the best as of lately. She's definitely been a little bit on the lower side. It's definitely, due to the fact there has been a little bit of difference in their strategies when it comes to Ariel Atkins' usage rate in the rebounding department. And unfortunately, she has definitely suffered from that. So for that reason, we do very much, like the under. We think all these things taken into consideration should lead to her going on the under here. So for that reason, keep an eye out for Ariel Atkins. I see a lot of value there to go on the under for the rebounding category. So Ariel Atkins, 3.5 rebounds for less, I think is a fantastic pick. So as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but PrizePicks is delayed with some of their lines. So here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So the first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Kamilla Cardoso. Now, as you all know, Kamilla is a fantastic player for none other than Chicago Sky, and she has done a fantastic job so far this season because we've actually seen her average 12.8 points, 7 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and 0.3 steals. So she's definitely done a fantastic job there. And when we look at someone like Kamilla, we also have seen her, do a decent job for Chicago Sky. And Chicago Sky do find themselves in a matchup against none other than a great team that is Minnesota Lynx. Now, it's definitely going to be an exciting game between both of these teams. But looking at where both of these teams actually do rank, we do know, starting off with Chicago Sky do actually rank 10th in the WNBA with a record of 7 wins and 13 losses. So they have a 35% win percentage, and on top of that, they're also 4-4 from home, 3-9 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak. So it's definitely been, a bit of a tough kind of season for them. Now, looking at the other side of things, we do see Minnesota Lynx are in a little bit of a better situation because Minnesota Lynx do actually find themselves in the number 1 spot in the WNBA with a record of 18 wins and 4 losses. So they have a 81% or 81.8% win percentage. They're 11-0 at home, 7-4 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. So it's definitely been absolutely huge for, Minnesota Lynx so far this season. And looking at where they do rank defensively, we also do see that when it comes to it, we see that Chicago Sky and Minnesota Lynx defensively do actually rank first in points allowed, second in assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, they also do rank 8th. So they rank a little bit, worse in that rebounding category. Now, coming into this matchup, we do actually like the under for this situation here for Kamilla, but strictly just for points and assists. Now, a big reason being for that is due to the fact that Minnesota Lynx actually, do a pretty poor job at actually restricting rebounds. And for someone like Cardoso, who does have a high usage rate in that department, we are expecting her to, take advantage of that. Now, when we look at Minnesota Lynx on a per position basis, we also do see that they actually do a fantastic job at restricting points and assists to the center position. So that definitely helps us in this situation there. Now, looking at Kamilla, we all look at the last 5 games and have seen some pretty interesting stat lines. We see on the 22nd, faced off against Phoenix Mercury, had a 107-86 loss, had 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 0 assists there. After that, on the 23rd, faced off against Atlanta Dream, had a 93-80 loss with 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists there. After that, on the 25th, faced off against LA Sparks, had a 97-86 victory with 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists there. After that, we also see against Dallas Wings on the 10th, had an 87-76 win with 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists there. Then on the 13th, faced off against Minnesota, had an 87-81 victory with 17 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Now, when we look at that, we also do see that the most recent game was against Minnesota Lynx. And yes, Kamilla did have herself an absolute, great game. However, we do believe in this next game, we are expecting a very different outcome. It is, a back-to-back game for Kamilla facing off against Minnesota since it was her most recent game. And we are expecting Minnesota to actually come out in this next matchup. They saw her do very well in that most recent one. And we are expecting a very different outcome in a sense that we could actually expect, different defensive strategies to be hitting Kamilla Cardoso and have her struggle in this matchup. So we definitely are expecting a different game coming into this one. Also, on top top of that, Chicago Sky, who weren't actually, projected to win that game, were able to come away with the win. So Lynx definitely had themselves a pretty poor game, but we are expecting Lynx to answer back as they are the number one team and are hoping, to get their revenge. So still keep an eye for Kamilla Cardoso. We do like the, under for this situation here. As we always mention, keep an eye out for the line. If the line is too close to our averages, then definitely look to go in the under. But like I mentioned before, definitely focus a little bit more on points and assists there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than Temi Fagbenle. Now, when we look at Temi, we have seen her do a great job so far this season, averaging 8.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1.9 assists, and also 1.2 steals. So they actually have done a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at someone like Temi, we also have seen her play great for Golden State Valkyries, but Valkyries find themselves in a very, very interesting matchup because they face off against Phoenix Mercury. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game, but looking where both of these teams do rank, we do see that Valkyries do actually rank 8th in the WNBA. They have a record of 10 wins and 10 losses, a 50% win percentage. They're also 7-3 at home, 3-7 from away, and are currently on a 1-game losing streak. Now, looking on the other side of things, we also see that they face off against none other than Phoenix Mercury. Now, Phoenix Mercury have definitely done a great job so far this season because Phoenix Mercury do rank 2nd in the WNBA. They've definitely been playing very, very well. And to even look further, we also do see that, when it comes to Phoenix Mercury, they have a 14-6 record. So 14 wins, 6 losses, 70% win percentage. They are 9-3 from home, 5-3 from away, and are currently on a 2-game win streak as well. So it's definitely been interesting there. Now, coming into this one, it's definitely going to be an exciting one, but looking at actually, where Temi and also Golden State Valkyries find themselves in a situation here is that when we look at Phoenix Mercury, we see that they rank 5th when it comes to points allowed. They rank 7th in assists allowed, and then when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank 9th. And what I mean by situation, I mean in a positive manner because we are actually expecting the over for this situation for someone like Temi. Now, Temi is a great player. She definitely does have a decent usage rate in all 3 departments. Now, I don't really think you need to focus on anything in particular, but I do believe that when it comes to this matchup, we are expecting Temi to do a little bit more in her points and rebounding category. And a big reason for that is that when it comes to Temi, she does have naturally a higher usage rate in those 2 departments. So we are expecting her, to do a lot more in that category for sure. So coming into this one, we do very much like the over. Now, looking at this matchup, we also do see that when we look at, Temi's last 5 games, you see some pretty interesting things. We do see it faced off against Seattle Storm on the 30th, had an 84-57 win. And that matchup had 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then faced off against Minnesota Lynx with an 82-71 loss, had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then on the 8th, faced off against Atlanta Dream, had a 90-81 loss with 0 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists there. After that, on the 10th, faced off against Indiana Fever with an 80-61 win with 7 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then on the 13th, faced off against the Las Vegas Aces, had a 104-102 loss with 13 points, 3 rebs, and 1 assist. So, we definitely have seen Temi do well at some games, other games not as good, I would say, but I think overall it's definitely going to be an exciting one. Now, looking at someone like Temi, we do very, very much, like I mentioned, like the over for this situation. I think points and rebounds is definitely where you want to focus on for sure. So definitely keep an eye out for the over for Temi. So, I think points and rebounds, like I mentioned, but keep an eye out for the line. If the line is under averages, then definitely look to go on the over. Now, getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about Jessica Shepard from Minnesota Lynx. Now, she's done a fantastic job so far this season, averaging 6.8 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, and 0.5 steals. So we definitely have seen her do a fantastic job there. Now, when we look at someone like Jessica Shepard, we actually have seen her, not only do a fantastic job in all departments, but we also do see that Minnesota Lynx face off against none other than Chicago Sky. Now, it is definitely going to be an exciting game, but looking at both of these teams and where they do rank, Just to quickly remind you all, we did touch on Minnesota Lynx ranking first in the WNBA, but also ranking first in the Western Conference. Now, they also have a record over the last 10 games of 7-3. So they have been very, very good over the last 10 games. Like I mentioned, overall record is 18 wins and 4 losses. And they face off against Chicago Sky, who have a 10th, standing in the WNBA, but also rank pretty low as they rank 5th in the Eastern Conference. Now, they have a record of 7 wins, 13 losses, but also over the last 10 have also gone 4 from 6. Now, they are currently on a 2-game win streak, however, so that's definitely something I would say to keep an eye out for, or something just to be wary about. Now, looking at this matchup and looking at where Chicago Sky do stand, we do see Chicago Sky ranked 10th in points allowed. They ranked 9th when it comes to assists allowed. When it comes to rebounds allowed, they also do rank 5th. So they do rank a little bit better in that rebounding category, but for someone like Jessica Shepard, we do actually like the under for this situation here. Now, the big reason for this is that when it comes to Chicago Sky, they actually do a fantastic job at restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the forward position. And for that reason, we are definitely expecting the under for this situation here. When it comes to someone like Jessica Shepard, she is not only just a fantastic player, but we also have seen her, do a really good job, not only just playing, great basketball, but we also have seen just her usage rate in the stats department haven't really been that high as of lately. She's playing great defense, she's playing great minutes, but when it comes to the stat sheet, it doesn't really translate as well. But she is still a great player, do not get me wrong. And coming into this one, especially due to the fact that Chicago Sky do a fantastic job against her position, we should see someone like Jessica Shepard go on the under here. Jessica as well doesn't have the highest usage rate for this Lynx team. There are other big players, unfortunately, in this, Lynx team that do a lot more of the heavy lifting. And coming into a matchup like this, especially since they did lose the most recent game against Sky, we are expecting, a lot more of those star players from this Lynx team to take a lot more of the usage rate away from him. So for that reason, we are definitely liking the under. Now, looking at our last 5 games, you see Golden State Valkyries, a most recent matchup on the 6th, had an 82-71 victory with 8 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists there. Then on the 7th face-off against Chicago Sky, had an 80-75 win with actually 4 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists there. Then against Phoenix Mercury, had a 79-71 loss with 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists there. Then against LA, had a 91-82 win with 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists there. Then after that, on the 13th, face-off against Chicago Sky, had an 87-81 loss with 2 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists there. So we definitely have seen Jessica Shepard do, pretty poorly in those games against Chicago Sky as well. So it's definitely been evident that when she does face off against Chicago, she really does struggle. And that's what we are expecting in this next matchup, no doubt about it. So for that reason, definitely keep an eye out, for the under for this one. I think she has a capability to go on the under in all 3, as Chicago Sky do a great job defensively overall. So getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about Sami Whitcomb. So as you all know, Sami Whitcomb, great player, as we all know, from Phoenix Mercury. And we do know that Phoenix Mercury face off against Golden State Valkyries coming into this game. Now, just to remind you all again, Phoenix Mercury do rank 2nd in the WNBA, but also rank 2nd in the Western Conference. They have a record of 14 wins and 6 losses, but over the last 10 have actually had a record of 8 wins and 2 losses. And they are currently on a 2-game win streak as well. Now, they face off against Golden State Valkyries, find themselves in a little bit of a different position, as they do actually rank 8th in the WNBA. Not only do they rank 8th in the WNBA, but they also rank 4th in the Western Conference with a record of 10 wins and 10 losses. Now, they are currently, over the last 10 games, 5-5 as well, so it's definitely something to be wary about, when it comes to that. But coming into this matchup, we also do see that when we look at Sami Whitcomb and Phoenix Mercury, looking at Golden State Valkyries defensively, we do see Valkyries ranking 2nd in points allowed, 5th in assists allowed, and when it comes to rebounds allowed, they do rank 7th. So they rank really good in points and assists, rebounds a little bit worse. Now, coming into this game, we do actually, like the over for this situation here for someone like Sami. However, strictly just for rebounds. Now, a big reason being is that since, Valkyries do rank very well in that points and assist department, we are staying a little bit away from that. But coming into this matchup, we do or are expecting Sami Whitcomb to be able to take advantage of Valkyries doing a poor job defensively from the rebounds. Now, not only that, but we also do see that when it comes to rebounding, they also do a poor job at restricting rebounds to the guard position, which is what Sami Whitcomb is. So for that reason, we are definitely liking, the over for this situation, and we are expecting someone like Sami to be able to take advantage of it. Now, looking at someone like Sami over the last 5 games, you see on the 28th of last month, faced off against New York Liberty, had a 106-91 victory with 15 points, 0 rebounds, 3 assists there. Then the Las Vegas Aces had an 84-81 loss with 14 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. Then against Dallas on the 4th had a 98-89 loss with 3 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist there. Then on the 8th, faced off against Dallas, had a 102-72 win with 36, 6 rebounds, and 1 assist. Then against Minnesota on the 10th, had a 79-71 victory with 10 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists there. So it's definitely been interesting. Now, looking at Sami Whitcomb, we definitely are expecting, this situation to be very, very interesting, because we do actually see that, when it comes to Sami, she's definitely had games where she's done very, very well, other games where she's done pretty poorly, but in this matchup we are liking the over for that rebounding category, but strictly just for rebound. So keep an eye out for the line there. Like I always mentioned, keep an eye out for the line in the sense that if it is under averages, then definitely look to go on the over.